What's up, sports fans? This is Tyler Laviolette of Two Guys Talk Sports. Jake Waxman is currently out today. Hopefully, he will be back next week, so it will just be me doing the episode for this Friday roundtable. Our first topic today, it's the Tigers. It's not been good. Currently, still fourth place in the AL Central, and with the trade deadline coming up in the midst of a 9-game road trip, and with 3 in Sacramento this weekend, 3 in Seattle, and then 3 in San Francisco, there are reports coming in that the Tigers are looking to be sellers as they will be trading away pitchers Kenley Jansen, Casey Mize, Tarek Skubal, and infielder Gleyber Torres. What this means is they don't see a path where they can make the playoffs, unfortunately. With guys like Kevin McGonigal, Hao-Yu Lee, and now Max Clark making the transition to the majors, as well as Eduardo Valencia as catcher, this means that the Tigers farm system will need some to get re-supplemented as more players get called up to the main team. So you just got to keep the stream going when you start in Lakeland all the way up to Toledo. It's going to be quite a bummer to know that Skubal, the 2-time reigning Cy Young Award winner, will be gone by August, Monday, August 2nd, 3rd at 6 p.m. is the deadline, barring anything crazy happening that could cause that to not happen. What we do know is this. Casey Mize will not be starting tonight in Sacramento against the Athletics. The Tigers will use a bullpen day in his place. This likely indicator that he was one of the 4 that will be shipped off in due time. I will expect a lot of news coming in as we get into throughout Monday afternoon, as we inch closer and closer to that deadline cutoff of 6 p.m. Now, how do I feel about this? It's very disappointing after the fun last season was, with the first half being with the team with the best record in the AL. But who knows? They could 24. They sold off players like Jack Flaherty and ended up making a surprise run to the postseason with minors making their impact like Zach McKinstry. So anything's possible. But unfortunately, my hopes on this team are diminished right now. As far as any info on the Cubs, I don't know. But hopefully when Jake comes back next week, we will discuss any of the moves made by both teams. In other surprising news, the recent push by FIFA to implement a private equity investments into the World Cup under a FIFA future, under the FFE, FIFA Forward Enterprise, with a 20% minority stake with private equity backed by Jared Kushner, is leading to pushback from 3 major confederations. The Asian Football Confederation, AFC, and CONCACAF, which the United States is in, have unanimously condemned the ruling. The big one, though, UEFA, also condemned it, but took it a step further. All 55 members of that governing body have elected to boycott any and all future FIFA events, starting with next year's World Cup, Women's World Cup in Brazil, as well as the 2030 World Cup, of which 2 of the nations, Spain and Portugal, are host nations. Really, FIFA? Really, Infantino? You really like that money, I get that, but I am just disappointed that we go from a successful World Cup on North American soil, positive impact for the United States that Jake and I talked about, a huge revenue windfall for FIFA in many aspects, commercial rights, stadiums, the TV deals, to now this. You really want private equity, which has a notorious track record of ruining various enterprises in these days, to have even a small stake, have such an impact on FIFA, on the big events like the World Cup. You can do all the damage control all you want about this, but this could be the straw that breaks the camel's back and forces Gianni Infantino out of FIFA control in Switzerland in due time. You have another confederation like CONMEBOL in South America also joins in the unanimous disappointment. Why they haven't, I don't know. I haven't seen any statements from them. Same with in Africa or in New Zealand and in the Oceania region, in their smaller islands. But the thing is, world football is not happy with this move. Any goodwill we had from the World Cup, gone. We could have a possibility of Portugal and Spain hosting World Cup matches, but neither national team is taking part. Let that sink in. If this boycott by UEFA reaches to 2030, and we don't have either Spain or Portugal in the World Cup, or any European team, yes, that'll make the tournament wide open, but it could also taint it. Not good at all. Scrap this FIFA, or you're going to be not only dealing with UEFA, but other confederations could be saying, we want out, we don't like this. I don't know what the future holds for FIFA, but right now, things are bad. And moving on, CBS recently is now dealing with another political controversy with their NFL announcing crews. All thanks to Tony Romo getting arrested in Wisconsin for an OWI charge, operating a vehicle while intoxicated. He was reportedly spotted in state with alcohol in possession, and despite CBS saying they stand behind him, they have put him on hold, sidelining him on the top team with Jim Nantz as we enter NFL training camp weekend. J.J. Watt, as things stand, will take over as the lead announcer, lead commentator with Jim Nantz on the A team until further notice. If there's any good news, it's that CBS only gets one preseason game and the regular fun doesn't begin until after Labor Day. So there's that to consider. But coming on the heels of the situation with Mark Sanchez, it's just not a good look. First, Fox has to deal with the situation with Sanchez after he assaults an elderly delivery driver in Indianapolis while getting ready for a Colts game he was set to call. And now this. Stupid decisions are being made by former NFL players that have cushy jobs in the broadcast booth, and they're starting to have consequences. What does CBS can say? They support Stand By Tony all they want, but they're not taking any chances. It's just like with the Lions and Terrion Arnold after he got arrested. They stood by him, but then they cut him. So sometimes you just gotta not deal with not wanting the fallout to drag you down, and it's still just not a good look for Tony and CBS at all that he is gone from the team, that he is on a pause right now, at least. Like I said, with training camp opening up this weekend. What this means for his future? To be determined. And while the Tigers have been a struggle at times on the field, and sometimes being good, there have been some a positive impact with the broadcast crew. I have watched the Tigers on Detroit Sports Net via MLB.TV this season, and I've noticed a few things. Jason Benetti has been, once again, a wonderful contributor to the team and has worked well with, whether it's Andy Dirks or Dan Petrie on the commentary as an analyst, and either Daniela Bruce or Logan Reaver on sideline reporting duties. And the chemistry I've noticed, it's good. Really, really good. It's that Benetti effect where he just has that positive vibe that he brings to every game. And it really showed these past 2-3 games against the Orioles. And game 1, there was a squirrel that interrupted play in the 6th and midway through the 7th with a funny chase involving around 20 members of the grounds crew with Jason Benetti's narration. Awesome job there, by the way. And then Tuesday night, the team did their announcing, not from the broadcast booth, but from behind the Tigers' home plate dugout club, near the Orioles dugout. And although Daniela and Andy were not supposed to be on the call, it was Jason, Dan Petrie, and Logan Reaver that were the main crew, the fact that they did this, even on a day off, that they still wanted to be on part of it because of how fun it was to do the game from such a unique vantage point, was awesome. And here's the thing. I noticed, that, like I said, the chemistry I noticed is pretty good. And there were funny moments, like Danielle Bruce and Andy Dirks, they were posed as wore chef gear and made a few of the concession items in the home plate club. Then they even handed out ballpark food, like a hot dog and your peanuts, to Dan and Petrie and Jason Benetti. But they also took it a step further at the request of Jason by taking some of the food up to the Orioles TV announcer, Kevin Brown and Ben McDonald, and also made sure Dan Dickerson and Bobby Scales got food as well. So they shared sharing is caring, and they did a good job. It was one of their best broadcasts, and really, when you think about it, 3 years ago, the site Awful Announcing does their announcer rankings for the local announcing teams. In 23, dead last. Bottom of the barrel, Matt Shepard, Kurt Gibson, Jack Morris, Dan Petrie. With the exception of Petrie, wasn't exactly beloved, and it showed in the rankings. As of last year's ranking, Jason alone, since he was hired in the offseason, heading into 24, he moved the needle up to 8th. I have yet to see any info on them doing a ranking for 25. So we'll have to go with last year's numbers as a result. Now, does this mean they are S tier like the Mets and others? Probably not by a long shot, but they're still pretty good. Now, sure, you're going to have times when you have national broadcasts, like on Apple and Fox. With NBC doing Sunday night games, the Tigers had a few games with Jason as the lead announcer, and two of the 3 games early on with Andy Dirks and one with Dan Petrie. So for at least those 3 games, there was a familiarity with having the announcers. But even still, when he's at his best, adding in pop culture moments, his random facts, the Tiger of the Day, the guy's just awesome. And as someone with cerebral palsy, I respect that the Tigers hired him. That shows good inclusiveness by having him, even with this disability, did not slow him down one bit. And there's another area the team does these guys do well together. 3 words: rain, delay, questions. Here's what I mean. Prior to 2025, whenever a game would be rain delayed, if you were watching on Fox Sports Net or then Bally Sports, the game, you would just see a lot of generic filler programming. Oh no, switch the channel or turn it off and be productive inside the house if it's a home delay, or do stuff outside the house if it's a road game. Then, in 2025, someone with the Tigers decided, let's interact with the fans. Let's have them, while we have the time, let's have fun with our loyal fan base, with them them sending us questions on social media. We'll read them and interact. And man, has it been fun. I've watched all the stuff on YouTube, on the games, and I've watched interactions and I've seen some of the highlights on YouTube, and I just can't help but laugh anytime they have the rain delay questions come on. Even the crazy thing is, last season, while the Tigers in Game 3 of the ALDS against the Mariners, the game started on a rain delay. So what did they do? Have Jason, Andy, and Daniela connect to the team with Zoom so that they can do rain delay questions in the stadium. Now, granted, the Fox Sports 1 broadcast didn't show it, but the fact that they did that in only its first season was quite endearing. It just showed how popular the rain delay question format worked. And it continues under the newly rebranded Detroit Sportsnet. The fact that stayed is a testament to, like I said, its success, how easygoing the crew is, and just fun. And like I said, I watched a few of the games. They don't have a whole lot of instances where the rain delay questions have to come into play, but I have laughed at all the humor that goes on with them. I have learned interesting things about various players, about some of them, like Danielle Bruce liking Love Island and turning one of his signature phrases into a Torkelson home run call. She didn't do too bad of a hypothetical job commentating for it. And also with her mentioning her first job was Dairy Queen, although not mentioning by name. But still, when you mention things like the Blizzard, it's kind of a gimme. And of course, other funny moments. And just watching the crew laughing and interacting while we're killing the time, that's just pretty fun. And speaking of Daniela, she has these wild Bruce chase segments where if they see something crazy and the fans or something, and you might have to go find them. Like we had a fan, like when they did the game in the home plate club, there was a family from Montana that just moved to Traverse City. They were attending a Tigers game and they noticed some signs, and interviewed the family. I thought that was pretty awesome. And yeah, like I said, Wild Bruce Chase. A nice play on words there, guys. Nice play on words. And seriously, between the Tigers announcing crew nowadays, the Red Wings announcing crew of Ken and Mick, and the Pistons having George Blaha and Greg Kelser, Detroit sports outside of the NFL on TV are in some good positions with great announcing crews that fans like. Now, not everything is perfect. You're still going to have nationally televised games with announcing crews that have no connection to Detroit. And when you get to the playoffs, assuming the Tigers do make some miraculous run, they will be all nationally televised. No local guys. And, of course, you don't just get the games automatically if you subscribe to MLB.TV. You're going to need to subscribe to their in-market package, Detroit Sportsnet. Now, as far as Red Wings games go, that's to be determined. I don't know yet what their plans are for that. And I have a sneaking suspicion they won't want to put the games on the regular MLB app. But we'll see what happens. And as far as how this crew will do in 27, we got the lockout to worry about. Whether or not that will impact some games, the entire season, that all remains to be seen. But for now, yes, I know the team is struggling. Yes, we could very well be losing good players by the time Monday at 6 p.m. rolls around. Yes, I know the team is struggling, especially with the bullpen, with how crazy Wednesday's game went from leading 7-0 to suddenly losing it 10-9 in extras. It's just, yes, it's frustrating, rough, but hopefully this crew stays around for a while. I hope Jason doesn't stay with the team for a bit, even with his national contributions to NBC and any Lions preseason games he'll do on Fox 2 in August. But here's the thing. I hope this team stays together for the long haul. Because outside of Dan Petrie, who's up there in his 70s, a lot of these folks aren't all that young, aren't all that old. Jason's in his 40s, yeah, but Andy's up there mid-range too, but what's not to say? I mean, Danielle and Logan Weaver are in their 30s and got plenty of years left in the tank. And they're just getting started. But hey, the crew, like I keep saying, the crew for Tigers games, awesome. Much better than the days of Matt Shepard and Kirk Gibson. And especially Jack Morris with that infamous accidental use of a racial Asian slur regarding Ohtani a few years back that got him in hot water. Sheesh. That was bad. And in other news, if you're a fan of the Minnesota Timberwolves, their games are going to the new streaming platform, DAZN, for most locally televised games, not nationally in their main market, but here in and meaning no cable access, as far as we know. You will need to pay for a streaming service for that, unfortunately. But here in Michigan, that in streaming access to be determined, but in Detroit, the spot Detroit WMD Channel 20 is the new home, which was announced earlier in the year. So if you can get an antenna and can get that Channel 20 up and running, or if your cable package still has that channel, because apparently some have dropped it, you're set for the most part. Except for any games on Amazon, but that's to be expected in the day and age. And at Lions camp, there's a photo circulated of Dan Campbell spending time with Jared Goff and his daughter. Super adorable photo. And really looking forward to the start of training camp this weekend and pretty soon the beginning of Lions football. Hopefully the team will get good and be a contender for the NFC North again, beating Ben Johnson's led Bears. But for now, Jake and I, we will hopefully get down to that when we get closer and closer to September as we go through the 3 preseason games and deal with roster cuts. Once again, I apologize that this episode is going to be a lot shorter than normal, but with Jake Waxman gone for the day, we just had to make do with situations. He is dealing with a family emergency down in Indiana right now. Jake, I hope things are going well. We're thinking of you, and hopefully you're not gone for much long, and I hope to see you back next week. So Be sure to follow us on Two Guys Talk Sports and other things on YouTube for great content like this, as well as on Facebook, Two Guys Talk Sports, where I post more info. And be sure to be on the lookout for that page on Monday and over the weekend, because any trades involving the 4 players I mentioned will need to be posted and talked about. We will talk about if Jake and I are back on Friday, and I hope that's the case, we will talk about all the what it went down over the weekend. With that being said, this is Tyler Laviolette from Two Guys Talk Sports. Have a great day.